Hello, my name is Ryan Hewer. I'm with Little Red Dog Games, and I am joined by Nick Colucci and Dennis Comtessa, and we're looking to show off Rogue State Revolution. Rogue State Revolution is a geopolitical Middle Eastern strategy game that is set in the fictional nation of Basenji. Basenji is a little bit in common with a lot of Middle Eastern countries, but doesn't represent any one. There's a little bit of Oman, a little bit of Bahrain, a little bit of Kuwait in there. Um, and it is a fictional nation that has just recovered from a brutal civil war. And they have transitioned from a monarchy to a democracy, and you are its first democratically elected leader. And as the new leader, you're going to immediately find that the nation is pulling you in a lot of different directions. Fundamentalists, secular individuals, liberals, conservatives, the urban, rural populations, they're all going to want different things. And your job is to maintain that balance and try and keep the country from destabilizing. The nation itself is got a number of cities, all divided into different provinces, and those provinces have different aspects that are doing well or poorly. The nation is also bordered by three countries that are procedurally generated. You've got Axtajan, Babelistan over here, and the nation of Zarbal to your south. And you can interact with those nations and form trade agreements. You can discuss, how many immigrants you want to have passing between each of those nations, set your border policies, export goods, form trade blocs, and vote together at the United Nations. There's just all kinds of things that you can do with these countries. You've also got an economic system where the cities are going to be demanding goods, especially as they grow. And as they start demanding things like processed food, household appliances, cell phones, luxury goods and sports cars and that kind of thing, you'll be actually building the buildings of that supply chain and connecting the roads so that those goods get to the cities where those demands are occurring. We've also got, you've probably noticed a number of military units here. Nick, you want to tell us about the unit system?
Yeah, so let's talk about units. So basically, you have a variety of military and non-military units that you can use to defend your country and do some other tasks, such as like surveying the terrain for resources. Um, for now, though, let's just talk about the military units. So, why don't you have your infantry over there attack the rebels on the left?
Sure, this guy right here.
Yep.
On our way.
So you'll notice they'll walk up to these rebels and fire at them. And as their health decreases, you're going to see one of the rebels actually die. Um, and all the military units, the amount of soldiers that you see is the amount of health that unit has. So certain types of units are stronger against other types. For example, you'll see those SAMs down there are very good at attacking helicopters. You'll notice when the SAMs try to attack the helicopters, you're going to see their guns are going to realign, they're going to fire, and then they'll instantly kill the helicopters. They'll come crashing to the ground. And in fact, those SAMs are the only units that can attack helicopters. And all of the units have certain strengths and weaknesses against other units. So you're going to have to keep all of that in mind when you're developing your strategy.
We've also got like a lot of player constructible buildings in the game. You can build everything from things to develop your economy. You're going to have to be supplying power to your cities and figuring out how you're going to do that. You can
We have
build
dams that they'll
dams.
adjust all the water levels, which will affect attractiveness
Yeah, let's put a dam
and
somewhere.
tourism. Do we have dams?
Yeah, we got a dam right here.
And you'll notice all the water downstream starts to close in a little bit. The water level's a little bit lower over there. And that's going to affect attractiveness if you try to build a hotel there or a stadium. You want to build a stadium?
Yes, build a stadium. Let's do that. We'll put it over here in
Yeah.
Kalusia.
Stadiums are pretty cool. Affect they'll increase everyone's happiness around, but you can also place little bets on the games.
Let's bet that the the Baniffa Lions will win the next game. We'll spend $10 on that and see if that happens later. What else can we build? Let's build an embassy. And you'll notice that it gets a little darker as we build buildings. You are given 4 actions that you can undertake in a turn. And every time you take one of those actions, the sun moves a little bit further across the sky. And then at the end of the day, let's build one more. Let's build what's nice. I like the hotel. Let's build the hotel. Almost certainly out
The
of money now.
the hotel looks awesome.
I love it. So now we're out of actions. So the turn ends. And then the insurgents get to fire back. Oh, there goes our soldiers. And an event occurs. Dennis, you want to tell us a little bit about events?
Yeah, well, events can happen anytime at the end of a turn, and basically you have multiple choice options. As you can see, we have 2 options here where we just don't have the money to pick them. So this is something we can't do here. But we have 2 others, and let's see what kind of event do we have here.
So here we're saying
Um,
makeshift shelters
yeah,
are appearing on the outskirts of our major cities. Shanty towns are kind of forming in all over Basenji right now as a result of severe homelessness, and we're in a homeless crisis right now. And it'd be nice to build new apartments for the homeless and demolish
yeah.
these shanty towns, but we just don't have the cash to do that right now. And we
So
can't, yeah, like,
we have 2 bad choices.
yeah.
So
So it's
uh,
we can draft the homeless into the army and get some free
yeah,
infantry units that way, but something tells me the liberals won't like that, and the military is probably not going to like that either. But the conservatives are just thrilled that the homeless are going to be given jobs and given something to do, or we can do nothing and have overall prosperity nationwide drop. I'm gonna call an audible here and probably just let it go. And as a result, you can look at our demographics and get a sense as to how the provinces are built up. And in this case, prosperity nationwide is anticipated to drop.
And how many of those events do we have in the game?
I would say about 200 right now. Yeah, like what do you love most about RSR, Dennis?
it's the ministers, definitely the ministers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I mean that's from the very early design stages. I think I've recently found a document from 2018 where we've exchanged ideas, and this is one of the first things that I wanted in the game. Is I wanted to have the ministers to play a much greater role, and I really wanted them to do their own thing. I wanted the ministers to unlock policies for you, and not the other way around. And I think this is quite interesting because the ministers you really have to watch them. You really have to be careful what they are doing, because they don't always do what you want them to do.
I absolutely love the supply chains of the game. I don't think we've really looked at the supply chains yet, but we've got
No, we
five
haven't.
five like core resources that our cities are all demanding. And if you mouse over them, you'll see that like it's not easy to get to that point. So the 5 things that they'll be wanting will be food, processed food, household appliances, consumer electronics, and eventually luxury goods. And to get to that endpoint where you're, as a nation, able to produce cell phones for your people to not be unhappy, is gonna you start at the ground level, like literally like mining bauxite and smelting it into aluminum. There's a lot of granularity going on in this game, and you're handling the movement of these goods as it goes from um, heck, I can build one right now. Let's build an oil refinery. Construction, oil refinery. As you're building an oil refinery and then moving that oil out to be turned into plastic, and then having that plastic turn into bottles, and having the bottles turn into um, whatever the end product's going to be in this case. And I think that's just really interesting to me.
And that's also going to increase the traffic on the roads, which is going to increase congestion and pollution. It all ties in very nicely
Yeah,
with all the other
we can take a
systems.
look at the traffic system right now, and as your traffic is pretty dense up here because we've got like think about the load that's going on here. You've got traffic going from Majimra all the way down to Siboran over here. You've got oil trucks that are basically filling up this area. You've got food trucks that are filling up this area. So you've got a lot of congestion going on this road. That congestion breeds unhappiness. And over time, you're going to see the happiness level of Carrick very slowly drop. So people don't like the traffic at all. You're going to have pollution. That is a thing that has to be managed. In this case, we have pollution coming from all of our roads and highways, but you also have pollution coming from your power plant and coming from all kinds of buildings. You've got attractiveness. So this is like where people would want to be. And this plays into a tourism mechanic. That kind of gives you a broad look at what's going on in Rogue State Revolution. We're going to hopefully do a series of videos where we show you more systems in greater depth. But if you're interested in this game, you're interested in what we're working on right now, we encourage you to like and subscribe, to follow us on social media, and most importantly, wishlist this game on Steam. We're looking to release this game in very early 2021.